Welcome to the Christian Romance Podcast, where we go behind the books with inspiring Christian romance authors, exploring faith, love, and the journey that brings the story to life. I'm your host, Kelly Jo Wilson, and today we're chatting with Kate Angelo. Kate is a best-selling and award-winning author of Hunting the Witness, Deadly Holiday Hijack, and Amazon Top 100 bestseller for Driving Force. She's a champion alongside her husband for stronger marriages and families through their nonprofit ministry. Her journey from foster care to best-selling author fuels her passion for writing fast-paced romantic suspense where flawed characters discover healing through life's fiercest trials and faith. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the episode so you can hear more about our newest book giveaway for this month. Now, here's my conversation with Kate. Hi, Kate. I am so happy that you are on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm so excited to be on this podcast. I listen to it all the time and I just love it. So I'm very excited that I'm able to be here with you today.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel so honored to chat with you. And we were chatting before, and I feel like I can talk to you all day. So you're going to have to tell me to stop talking. I got to be respectful of your time. But you know what? Why don't we just start with you letting our listeners and the readers listening know just more about you, how you got to become an author and the kind of stories and books that you write.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. So I live in Southwest Missouri, and I was born in Houston, Texas. And while I was in Texas, I kind of had like a really chaotic life. And we can go into some more details of that. But I ended up moving to Missouri when I was in high school, and I was only here for a couple of months before I went into foster care. And I went into foster care as a teen, and my biological parents abandoned me and left me in Missouri. So I had no family whatsoever in Missouri. And from that, I learned really a lot about what it was like to be abandoned and what it was like to really just desire a family. But I also learned really quickly that I had no relationship skills. I had no idea of how to handle forgiveness or how to just have a great conversation with someone and listen, or not say things like, a friend might say to me, well, that hurt my feelings. And I would say, well, that's stupid because, and then I would tell them why their feelings were stupid. And so from that, when I met my husband, Jerry, and we got married, he felt the same way. He felt like he grew up with like all this education on all kinds of other things, including he was raised Catholic. And so he had all this great foundation of the Bible and history and his business from college and things like that. And he was like, but no one ever taught me how to have a great relationship. And so we founded a nonprofit that is all about helping singles and married couples go from hoping for a great relationship to like actively building one through education and resources, date night events, and things like that. So our goal is really to help couples long-term enjoy a fulfilling marriage that leads to financial security, but also personal growth and really thriving families. And you can leave a legacy for your community that way. And so while I'm doing that, I just felt very called to start writing fiction because I believe that, and maybe you experience this a little too, is that sometimes God or Jesus in the Bible, he just told people parables when he really wanted to like get to the heart of the matter. Maybe people who aren't quite ready to hear the truth, or they're not quite ready for you to say your feelings are stupid. He wants to say ease into it a little bit. And so through fiction, I'm able to show people who are like me, who are traumatized, who maybe like you become a Christian, but you're still not healed. You don't fully forgive. And I'm just able to tell these stories that through the Lord does the work. I mean, he does the healing in the story. And so that's really how I got my start of like, okay, I'm going to write fiction books. And at first I didn't really see the connection for myself that even like I was just being obedient. And man, and actually what happened was I was praying one time for like the word of the year. I don't know if you've ever done that, like, okay, God, what's going to be my word for this whole year? And so I prayed and he said time. And I was like,
Mm.
time. That's really weird because I was hoping for like something uplifting, like joy or faith or something. Money would be good, right? Um, so I ended up getting time. And when I prayed about it, he said, if you'll give me your time, I'll show you what I can do with it. And I
Mm.
was like, I took that so seriously. I just deleted games off of my phone. I got off social media and I thought, I'm just going to start pursuing what he's calling me to pursue. And he started giving me stories. And I was like, well, I better write these stories down because I'll forget them. And I started doing that. And then I was like, well, I'm going to give him more of my time. If he's giving me stories, I got to learn how to write stories. And so I started that way and watched tons of YouTube videos. I found some writing group local to me by sheer accident. I mean, it was total accident that we found each other, and we're still really great friends. But one of them recommended that I apply or audition for Sunrise to write a book under Lynette Eason's name, and I applied, auditioned for that, and I got picked to write Driving Force, and so that's my debut novel. That was written with the mentorship of Lynette Eason, edited by her and Susan May Warren. I mean, can you get a better start than that when it comes to writing romance and romantic suspense? It's just crazy. So,
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Well, first, I appreciate you sharing your heart. And I am so sorry that you had to go through abandonment and the neglect and all of the other things that uh eventually shape you, right? But are very difficult. So it's no wonder that the first people that you're supposed to be able to trust abandon you. It's no wonder that you don't have a wonderful foundation for knowing what relationships are like. So that I hope you give yourself some grace there. Because that's really tough. It's really tough, Kate. I'm sorry you had to go through that. The only thing that I can think of is it like with Joseph, right? What
mhm.
you meant for evil, God worked together for good. And I think that he certainly has done that in your life, especially you and your husband. My goodness, God bless you for doing a ministry like that. I feel like there's such a need for that, and it's so assumed, especially once we get older and we're like adults. It's when you don't have like a solid foundation of building healthy relationships, and then you're expected to have one when you're older or be part of one. It's very difficult, and I feel like there's such a need for that. And I mean, look at the divorce rate in the country. I mean, it's literally half of marriages get divorced. And I think that it's just so wonderful. I'm sure you guys have amazing stories just from that ministry too, because my goodness, you have to be changing lives, especially with Jesus at the helm.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some amazing testimonies that people have come and they were on the brink of divorce and the worst kind of soap opera kind of testimonies, and now they're serving alongside us and helping to build stronger marriages. And you're like, I mean, if you could just hear their testimony, most people would believe like there is life after infidelity or life after abandonment or even abuse or something like that. And we don't advocate obviously for people to stay in abusive situations or serial cheating or whatever, but what we do is we try to get to the heart of the situation of why these people are doing these behaviors. And when we can start to unpack some of that, then healing begins, and then you can rebuild some trust and start to lay the foundation to put your life and your marriage back together. And you're right about the divorce rate; it's very high, even in the Christian world. And if you see the divorce rate going down, it's really not that the rate of divorce is going down; it's that the marriage rate is going down, and so is the birth rate. And it's just a selfish community, really, that we're Americans are endlessly selfish, and they spend their time doing what they want, and so these relationship skills are even more important now because of that. That they're lost in that way.
Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, Jesus, he teaches such an opposite of what this world is. And because even, everywhere it's like more self-love, go do your thing. Like you said, like be happy, do what you want more, and on the flip side of that too, self-help. It's self-help everything. If I could help myself, I wouldn't be in this situation. Like most people, I feel like say that, especially, it gets me with mental health stuff because my goodness, we are broken. We need saved. We need help. We need a savior and peace that cannot come from us. It just can't. We have the best thing we can possibly do is surrender, right? So getting that out, it's just so opposite. Like everything that Jesus is about is so opposite because he's about also servant leadership, serving one another, treating each other as how we would want to be treated and how he loved us. I mean, it's just so opposite of everything. So I love that you're just sharing that and putting it out there because it really is so, oh my goodness, so needed.
Yeah, it's very interesting about, the fact that most people will spend more time and energy preparing for a wedding than they will ever think about what they'll do with the marriage. And I still cringe a little bit. And if this is you, then I will apologize whenever I see people post a picture of their child or their dog or something, and they're like, "This is my whole world," and I'm like, "I know you're married." And first of all, your world is not going to be centered around that child because in about puberty o'clock, they will not really want to be with you anymore. You're supposed to be raising children to be adults, not on their way to becoming adults when they leave your house. And so you're supposed to send them out into the world with a great model of what a family should look like, of what a husband and a wife should look like. And because we don't do that, we fail at that so much, then that just causes the downfall of the family because you're more married to your job or your success or your child or your needs than you are to, like you just said, being the model of Christ to your marriage and serving, endlessly serving. And I often tell people, we're like way off topic, I guess, but I have to tell people that the number one reason for divorce is actually selfishness. It's not it is communication, but it's because I want you to communicate the way I want you to communicate, to speak to me the way I want to. Or finances, it's because I want you to spend the money the way I want to spend the money. And then it starts to become down to you should parent the way I want to parent, and we stop listening and we stop communicating because when you don't get your way, that's just what you do. You wall yourself into um, isolation. And then from there, so we try to help people move from that isolation to oneness, to like learning how to communicate together. And there's no such thing as a compromise because then two people feel like they're losing. So we just teach people to make their decisions based on what God wants. And that's really difficult for a lot of, I mean, I still struggle with it and I teach it. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like we always have to like die to ourselves in some way, right? Because it's
Mhm.
so hard, but yeah. But it's so important because you really it's not ever going to be the easy way, right? It's always going to go against the current because our natural self wants to be selfish. We want to fit in, we want to be accepted by the world. We don't want to rock the boat, and that's not what Jesus tells us to do. So it's
Right.
tough. It is hard. It's very hard. My husband and I were just talking about this today, like how we're so different than we were even 5 years ago. Like even
Mhm.
with like small arguments, he has such patience and he has just been so wonderful with like he wants to get past it right away. And I do too, but a lot of times I feel like, "No, I need you to validate me, okay? I need to be
Mhm.
heard because I'm right." I'll be all like that. But like the other day I was just saying a prayer like, "Please help me to be more submissive because I can't I get in that mindset where it's tough, and then so we can move past it because it's like that maturity. You start to see like, why are we going to let this ruin our whole day when time is so precious and we can't do that? Like I love this man, he loves me, that kind of stuff. So, I love that you're teaching those principles because people really just need to know. I feel like they want it in their heart, but they just don't know how to get there. So having that
Yeah.
help is wonderful.
Yeah, and absolutely. Like I was somewhere the other day and we were getting ready to go to the airport and I'm standing there and this other wife and her husband were with us and the two guys were loading luggage in and I was just standing there like you guys are doing a great job. Look at you like Tetrising that stuff in there and she's like she leans over and she's just like what like you're totally like just over here cheering them on and like not getting in the way. And I was like, well, this is like a challenge for them. And, well, I don't need my way, like putting them in there because I know I'll do it wrong and nothing will give it. So, what can I really offer to this situation other than to like insert myself and and try to do it my way and cause more chaos? Meanwhile, I can get to do the fun thing, which is stand here and like make them feel super good about themselves, about what they're doing and to bring it back into the book Girl Lost, like even the title of that is that we're all lost in some way. And so it's a multifaceted title actually of them trying to find a lost girl, and then they're also trying to find their missing daughter, but they're also trying to find like a piece that protagonist Luna is trying to find a piece of herself that she lost somewhere along the way. And I think that was that it was a title to me was just it just kind of like came to me, I guess, but it was really like the Lord putting that in my heart as a theme because we are all lost in some way. And I think that's why we're trying to like bully our way in and let's do it my way and let's push to get this done. Like you were just saying, like, I need to be validated. And instead of like, my husband always says it should be a race to the back of the line. Like who can get to the back of the line to let everybody else be served before them. And I think about that visual a lot. And I think some of these characters in this book, they even start from that place of I'm going to do it my way, but they slowly over time, like they're just in throughout the book, they're realizing like all these barriers that I've built up are just keeping me from the thing that I want, the closeness, the oneness. And so, through that, the romance of that, I help them find that.
I love it. I love it. I know you're so funny. You're like, let's go to the book. Yes.
Sorry.
I
No,
did want to
like
say,
I'll circle it around.
no, it's perfect. It's perfect. I did want to say too that I have heard of people doing the word of the year. I love that he was like time because my goodness, how hard is that? But being obedient, of course, you give him your time and look at the fruit already. It's just absolutely wonderful. I just wanted to comment on that because I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is really amazing. I'll say this real quick in case other people, I know readers like, they don't really think that much about it. I did not know anything about the book world, even when I auditioned. I keep saying applied, but I mean auditioned for writing Driving Force, which is my debut novel. I really didn't even know what all went. I didn't know about the marketing and the titles and the plots and all the things. I was just writing a story, I mean, I knew some of it, but I just didn't know how in depth it goes. But, it takes people a good 10 years to get from, to have their overnight success, really, to get their publishing contract. And the amount of money that an author will spend during that 10 years to be trained, to be taught something that they would never get in a university. I'm sorry to say, to learn because you have to learn to be a marketer. You have to learn to do, to communicate, and you have to learn to write, and you have to learn all the things that go along with that. And so for me, I'm just like, the Lord took that, like you said, time. He's like, give me your time and let me show you what I can do with it. And so I have only been writing, I think I should probably know this, but I'm pretty sure that Driving Force came out in 2021, maybe something like that. It's not, I kind of say I've been writing since 2020. I mean, that's an easy round number. It's 2025, and I have a stack of books that I never would have dreamt of. And so look what the Lord has done. It wasn't Kate, other than me being submissive to what he wanted. It was him.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's the best part that we can do is step aside or kneel down, right? Be obedient, listen, and you have these wonderful books and stories. So Getting to Girl Lost. So I love the title too. And I love how you explained a little bit. The title has like multiple meanings, which it totally can seem that way just from reading the little blurb. Do you want to talk about the setting a little bit in this? So this book is book one, right? In the King Legacy series?
Yes, book one in the King Legacy series. And the setting is in a fictional town, beach town, called Millie Beach. And it's really supposed to be like a small beach town north of Miami. And it's where people kind of know each other, but then don't quite know each other. And I think I described it as, it has all of the crime of Miami, but none of the beauty. So that's kind of gives you puts you right in there, right?
Yes, totally. I could totally picture it. You're so funny. Oh my gosh. All the crime of Miami, but none of the pretty stuff.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're starting off kind of funky, Kate. So tell us about Corbin and Luna.
Yeah. So Corbin and Luna were teenagers whenever they met in something called the Warrior Program. And so the whole series is called The King Legacy because it's really about a guy named Stryker King who was a police officer. And I don't go a lot into his background in this book right away, but he decided that he was tired of watching kids out there becoming criminals, and he would arrest them, and then he would put them back on the street, and then they would go right back to it because he was seeing why they were doing that. It's because there was something, because they were lost and broken, really. Is that he was seeing that their home life was wrong, or that they had no support at home, or they had been abandoned like me. And that's what happens. Some will turn to crime, some will turn to drugs, some will turn to promiscuity or looking for love in a boyfriend versus what they were missing with their father and things like that. So each one has their own set of issues, and each one of them was either, most of them, I should say, from the program were brought there because they were doing something that they shouldn't have been doing, and were about to go to juvie. And so he was like, I'm going to train them alongside law enforcement officers in mixed martial arts. So they learn discipline, they learn structure, they work for him and more. And so it's basically like his first little cohort become almost like a found family. But
Mm.
in that, Luna and Corbin, I know it sounds kind of weird when I say that they're a found family, but they grow into a relationship, because that's kind of what happens. Is like, you're like, I have found my family, this boy who loves me, and now I'm going to pour everything into that, and we're going to live happily ever after, and I'm going to have the one thing I never had, which was a family. But then Corbin has seen his dad become an alcoholic abuser, and he's worried that he's going to be just like his dad. And so he's like, no, I am not ready to be a father. So when she is pregnant, he's like, I can't do this. And he sort of abandons her. So even though they stay in the program together, he effectively abandons her out of fear. And I think that's what a lot of young men do when they're in this situation. It's fear of, I don't know how to be a man yet because no one showed me that. And so through that, the two of them, um, they don't see each other. She just has the baby. They put it up for adoption. They do a private adoption. And then she just bolts, just leaves everything behind, and no one really hears from her again, while she goes off and joins the military, becomes Marine intelligence, and then joins the CIA.
Mhm.
So
She's
pretty cool.
tough. I really like Luna. I don't even have to read anything about her. I don't have to, even on the page. I'm telling you, page one, I'm liking her. All this stuff she's gone through, my goodness. And I like Corbin too. I can see the fear that he would have having that happen, right? They come from a lot of brokenness. So it's very hard to feel like confident in themselves, especially being young. But I really love that Stryker is trying to do some good with this in a different way, because mixed martial arts and things like that is very, very healthy. It's good for your body, it's really good for your mind. It's all I don't want to say it's all a mind game because I'm not a fighter and I do not know, but I did actually train at a fighter gym close to my house, and he was a UFC fighter who owned the gym, and he constantly talk about how it's all in your mind. You have to be very like disciplined and diligent, and you can't let the mindset like kick in that you're not good enough and things like that. You just have to work, 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 work. So I love that. I love it. I can picture both of them being doing the work and throwing people over their legs and doing all that crazy stuff. So
Yeah, and when you're on the mat like that, like you're not a doctor or a lawyer or the chief of police or the DA or whatever. You are just like two people going toe to toe, and you get outside of your head. Especially for men. That's why I think they like fighting and sports, is because they can just go into that box where they're doing sports and react physically, and it just gets them outside of their head so they can process what's going on. And for girls, kind of the same thing. They can burn off all of those emotions that light them up so much. And so I think Stryker is a smart guy to put teenagers in that, right? Just, hey, you want to punch a hole in the wall, like let's go over here and you can try punching a hole through this bag or whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's so cathartic as well. Just at least, in just being in that environment and being able to release in such a healthy way. So that is super, super fun. So with the story, so I would say they're going through this. So, and they're looking, I don't want you to give away spoilers, but tell us a little bit about their quest. No spoilers.
Yeah. So Luna, so I'll say this, that there is a deleted scene on the book page for Girl Lost. So if you go to my website and you go there, you'll get a deleted scene. And in the deleted scene, you learn everything that led up to why Luna decided to come back to Millie Beach after she had been gone for so long. And so she decides that she she doesn't have any blood left except for the daughter she gave up for adoption. And so she tells Stryker she's tried to find her daughter on her own and she can't, because of the way that they did the private adoption. So she's like, who did you give the baby to? And he's like, I will tell you if you come back home and meet me. And so she comes back, but before she can find out where he put the baby, he's kidnapped. And so now she has to decide, if she really wants to know, she has to find a way to save him. And she kind of gets stuck. And she's forced to basically go back to everybody she left behind. And some are like excited to see her and forgive her immediately. And some are not so. They're just a little bit icy about it. And from that they start to reunite. And so it's a series of books, and each of them will have a story of some sort. And we will kind of see what they have going on from that. But the finding the daughter is the goal, but she ends up having to work with Corbin so that she can get what she wants. But she doesn't tell him that's why she's there. So he's like, why are you here? And she's like, well, I have to find Stryker. And he's like, yeah, but why did you come back? Because, you were coming back, and then he gets kidnapped. So then he's starting to think, well, does it have something to do with your CIA stuff? Why he got kidnapped? And so she doesn't tell him until later on in the book. So she's holding that back about why she's actually here.
That's pretty cool, because then he'd be like so skeptical, and then maybe even think that she had something to do with it, or it has some kind of tie to her. So there would be so much tension there. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I really like that Stryker, this very capable, obviously trained guy, gets kidnapped. So that shows you the stakes right away, because if he's able to get kidnapped, then there's some really bad guys involved in all of this. So they're going to have to show, and it shows their competence, right? So Luna and Corbin having to work together, because he has to know what's going on and why she's back. So he has to go and try to help her in some way.
Absolutely. So
I love
there's
it.
a lot of different like little things that happen in the book that I didn't anticipate until I started to write them. And then, like most authors, I'm like, did I do it justice of what I know of the characters and the background? And if I didn't, then hopefully either like I'll just leave it to the reader to fill in those little gaps or to learn more as they read through the series, because that'll be where we can kind of like unravel some of that a little bit more.
Awesome, awesome. But this book is still a standalone read though too, right? Even though
Yeah.
there's little hints, which I love, about
Mhm.
the when you do that with the series, because once you read the first book and then you like know, but each one's a standalone, you feel so good as a reader, like you know more than what's going on, and like that little moment where like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I love that.
Absolutely. I'm a total binge reader. I don't know about you, but I'm a binge reader. If you give me a series and I'm like, I like the characters, then I will read those characters like all the way through. I want them. But I also love a good series where you have this nice little package at the end, but there's something that maybe propels you into the next book if it's the characters or the plot or both. And so I kind of try to leave it, like you said, so it can be a standalone read. Any of the books in the series will be, but I think that you just get so much more whenever you're reading more of the books in the series. I read out of order. I don't know about other people, but I
Yes.
read out of order all the time.
I do too. I'm always like looking on authors' websites too, like which order should I be reading? Because now I need to know about this person because I like them and where are they? Yeah, I
Yes,
do the same thing.
exactly. I do that all the time.
Totally. And I like binging. I do the same thing too with the characters. Like as soon as you like a character, like a family or something like that, I'm like, oh, I got to know now. And now I got to know what happens to this one. What's going on? Oh, yeah, totally. Ties me up for a while.
Absolutely.
Super fun. Well, we are almost at time, Kate. But I did want to ask you, so on your journey to publishing and just, being obedient with God and letting him have your time, was there any Bible verse that really encouraged you through that, or even one that maybe you tied to the themes in this particular book?
So, the one that is my favorite Bible verse that I usually like write, the one that you write if you sign your name or something like
Mhm.
that, that people will see me put with my signature, is Romans 15:13. And it says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so
Mm.
that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. And I love that because it talks about joy and peace, which are the two things that I so often want in life. There's a difference between happiness and joy, right? It's the peace that comes with that joy that I just love, but that comes when you trust in Him. And then it's like it says, "May you overflow with hope," but that's by the power of the Holy Spirit. So, not that I'm constantly hopeful, it's just that the Holy Spirit is coming out in me, that I'm thinking positively about everything. So, I know some people who are like the most positive people in the entire world who just, this Bible verse is just them. And so I want to be more like them. I want to be less like, move out of my way, slow driver, and just be like, look at this. I get a chance to look at the building. I never know. They're just like endlessly positive. And so I don't know if that's exactly what the verse means, but that's really the way that I interpret it is like, can I just like, I want other people to have the joy and the peace that I have every day, even though I've gone through some crazy struggles and I still do go through a lot of, I'm in some emotional fights for other people's marriages that are just sometimes spiritual battles. And it's through the power of the Holy Spirit that we can offer hope and show them what joy and peace will look like, and then happiness will come after. So that's my sort of life verse, I guess. And then I also have this book, and each book in the series will have an element of a STEM type plot. So one of the science, technology, engineering, or math. Although I was just writing in a writing sprint, and I was like, why did I think I should write a book about math? Like, Like, why would I do that? That's math is the STEM thing. But it also has a parable. So in this one, Girl Lost follows the parable of the lost sheep.
Mm.
And in the front of the book, I used the one from Luke 15 that I don't know if I should read the whole thing, but really it's just, if you lose a sheep, won't you leave the 99 to come and find the lost sheep? And so I'm hoping to do a giveaway with some inspirational lost sheep items and some other things like that. So I try not to overly fight in the book. Like there's not a lot of like, manly, just grappling and MMA or like you said, UFC fighting going on. It's just the type that goes along with suspense. I try not to delve too heavy into the STEM subject, but just enough that people can be curious. And then the same thing with like the parable, that it kind of all comes together at the end, hopefully in a nice package. That's the goal anyway. So, but if you read the Dear Reader letter at the end of books, which I hope you do, you'll learn a lot more about each of these things and why they're in there.
Oh, that is so fun. I love that you do that. And yes, readers, read the letters to you because that is specifically for you. I just love it. Oh my goodness, especially the STEM piece. And we were talking before this too. I'm a total geek also. Like I would, superhero nerd. I didn't read comic books. I didn't have comics, but I'm all about it. Like those kind of things too. Definitely math, like weird statistics. Like I'm a nurse and I don't know why I like data. It's so crazy. So I can feel you. And that's super interesting too and very fun. And I
Yeah.
love, love, love that verse so much. And I love that it spoke to your heart so much
Mm-hmm.
because it just is so true, right? It's so hard. It's very hard to stay positive, especially when you've gone through any kind of trauma. So asking for that and knowing that it comes from the Holy Spirit and that's you having that is just shows that you again are just being obedient and you're just letting that Holy Spirit fill you up. And my goodness. And the other thing that you mentioned real quick that I just wanted to say too, which is just so crazy, especially recently. I don't know if recently too, this maybe with that has been happening with you too, but spiritual warfare is so real and it is so it's like it's even more harsh, I feel like, when you are about to step out for God and for Jesus. Do you experience that at all? Like when you're like, because you guys have this wonderful ministry, this like counseling ministry that you're doing, as well as the writing, your husband's podcast. I mean, all these wonderful things. Do you experience that at all? Like when you're going to step out and make a bold move, that it's just like this warfare is like all these fiery darts coming at you.
Oh yeah, that is just what happens. And I think like on whenever you're reading Romans 15:13, you should say, wow, this is a great opportunity for us to like buckle down and really build our faith and trust in God. But it's usually like life stuff, but also emotional stuff. And so we'll have like, our like this last thing that happened is we're stepping out in like a really, really big area. And the Lord is just like opening up these doors for us that we know we're supposed to walk through. And then like these little setbacks come. And so it's like these trials that will get to you emotionally that are actually in the physical. And so for us, we travel a lot. And so we were in Washington, D.C., and it's like we had this great, amazing trip. We had a lot of success while we were there. And so then we're coming home and we find out that the day that we're coming home, the next day, the governor is going to sign a bill that my husband helped get passed through legislation, not as a lobbyist, but as a citizen, just to
Awesome.
say this is really helpful legislation. And the governor was wanting us to come and sign, like, witness him signing the bill and, do the whole thing and take pictures. And so wouldn't you know it, that's the day that there's like this chaotic scheduling software issue that goes down at or at DCA in Washington, D.C. We sit on the tarmac for like an hour, and then we're there for so long that this thunderstorm rolls in. So now we got to sit there and wait for the thunderstorm to go by. So then this same thunderstorm that was coming from all those tropical storms was rolling in. So we landed in Chicago, and the very last flight home decided to leave early. So we were like running up to the gate and they had already left, even though it wasn't going to depart for like another 5 minutes. So we would have barely made it, but instead we missed it. So then it was like, running from here to try to get to one to Kansas City, to get to one to St. Louis, to maybe go to Tulsa, like wherever we could go, because we had to rent a car to drive all the way back to get to be with the governor to sign, because you can't ask him to reschedule that, right? Like, nah, you can do it as a different day. That doesn't work that way. So, but those are the times when we're like, we can choose to be cranky and angry with each other, or we can just like say, thank you. We're on this adventure together. We're together. We're safe. If we're meant to be there, we'll be there. God will make a way. And then meeting all these great people along the way. And talking to these, this wonderful gate agent lady who just helped us so much. And I just thought like, those are the things that you forget about, in the opportunity to really just shine a light for that person who's also going through a crazy day, because while it's my one trip, she's dealing with multiple people who have this same issue going on. And so just helps you to step outside of yourself to think through that. So yeah, total spiritual warfare. And I think it's like all in your mind and in your heart, so that you can use it for a good thing or not.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing that story, because my goodness, I feel like we can all totally relate to that in some way. Like
Right.
it's
not the first time.
Yes, for sure. And the whole purpose is just to get you to question and doubt God, right? So like,
Mhm.
like you said, he's opening this door and you're walking through. But all of those little hiccups along the way is just to get you to question him, because that little seed of doubt can take root. And then if that does, it pushes you further away from him. So that's like one thing that I am learning having to surrender every day, is like anything, just I might not know what's going on, but if it pushes me away from God, then it's not from him, right? Like if
Right.
it makes me want to go and not talk to him, then it's not from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always say, like, does that thought or comment build up or tear down? Because it does one of the two things. It's not a net zero. And so we have to work really hard to constantly build people up. And so I find myself trying to be more like just thankful, just, thank you, honey. You went and stood in line and waited for this gate agent while my daughter and I stood there and scrolled on our phone, And so, and it was no big deal for us. Or like I was texting my friends instead, and he's over there, trying to make arrangements for us. And so I try to think about those things, but it still it stresses you out. And then you have the opportunity to, I always find like one of us is more stressed than the other. And so you can add to that, or you can help them by just listening and allowing and having grace and mercy. And I make it sound like I'm this amazing person, and I'm not always like that. So don't get too excited. I might honk at you if you are driving slow one day, but then I'll remember the Romans verse and I'll do better the next time, because that's how it goes.
Ask for forgiveness, afterward.
Right. Right.
Yes, totally. Oh, it's such wonderful practical tips, Kate. Thank you so much for sharing that, and just sharing your heart too.
Thank you.
Yes, for sure. So where can our listeners connect with you? And I know you had mentioned about going and checking out that deleted scene. Where's the best place to do that? And then also get this wonderful story.
Yeah, if you go to my website, which is really easy, it's kateangelo.com. And you'll find right there the book is front and center on the homepage, but you can also just click on the book link, and you'll be able to find the Girl Lost book. And on there's a giveaway. There is the deleted scene, and there's a little more about the book, and there's some places to buy it. And by the time that everyone is hearing this, I believe that it'll be in bookstores everywhere. So you could just run down to Barnes & Noble and pick up a copy if you want to do it that way. Or if you're like me, I love to get them in the mail. I love to order them and then get them in the mail. I don't know what it is about that, but there's something about going to a bookstore and buying a bunch of books. But there's like, for me, it's even more about getting the paperback in the mail. Maybe because I order so many, I don't know which one it is. So it's like Christmas opening them. Might be that.
Totally. I feel the same way. I love getting a bunch of books. My husband will be like, another package for you. And I'm like, yes, it's my books, Absolutely. 100%. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate. I feel like I could just talk to you forever. So thank you for your grace in this time and just sharing your heart and just for the work that you do, for couples, for people, for us, readers with these wonderful stories about real characters and just, giving us the chance to live through their brokenness because we all can relate to that. So just thank you so much. And thank you for being here today.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I just appreciate that you have this platform that you're allowing people to come on and share their stories. And I just love the interviews that you've already done. Some of my favorite people in the whole wide world. I won't name names, but you just released one the other day and I'm like, I love this woman. She is amazing. And so of course, I'm just so thankful that you give us an opportunity to share about our books. And, you go through all the time and effort to do this. So I just appreciate you, Kelly. Thank you so much.
Aw, thank you, Kate. You're too sweet. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with one book lover like yourself. We love to bless as many people as we can with fun behind-the-scenes interviews and, of course, great books. This month, we're having a classic Christian romance book giveaway. One blessed winner will receive a bundle of 5 timeless Christian romances, including favorites like Love Comes Softly and Redeeming Love. These are the stories that shaped Christian romance as we know it, filled with faith, redemption, and lasting love. The giveaway ends September 30th, so don't wait. Whether you're listening right when the episode drops or tuning in later, you can always find the latest giveaway at christianromancepodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, keep your faith, share the love, and happy reading.